afternoon, everyone. If you could please take your seats. And unfortunately, the Deputy Secretary-General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, can't join us yet in person, but we are going to play a video who is the co-chair of the Spotlight Initiative.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 6 years ago this week, we launched the Spotlight Initiative. Our aim was clear: to eliminate all forms of violence against women and girls by 2030. We sought to demonstrate that we can create change when we prioritize women and girls, when we align resources, when we work in partnership, and when the political will is present. And we are very grateful to our partner, the European Union, for its unprecedented investment. Over these past 6 years, we have tested our model through a global pandemic and across 5 regions of the globe. We have aligned our efforts with national development plans. We have built a new model of localization at state, district, and community levels. And we have learned from our civil society partners and from grassroots women's organizations. They have held us to account, and they have spurred us to evolve, pushing us to do development differently. I have been deeply moved to see the success of our initiative firsthand. In Central Asia, women told me that Spotlight Initiative was the one program providing the high-quality services and support on which they rely. In the highlands of Papua New Guinea, I've sat with young people who've recounted stories of unspeakable violence and told me how Spotlight Initiative created spaces for fellowship, support, and solutions. In Niger and my home country, Nigeria, I've seen how, with the support of Spotlight Initiative, girls are gaining mentorship, delaying marriage, staying in school, and pursuing their dreams and aspirations. Excellencies, friends, investing in women and girls is a powerful path to accelerate the full achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. It is also the most underused. The 2030 Agenda can only be achieved when women and men are genuinely treated as equals, when women and girls live lives of dignity and security, lives that are free from violence. Today, I'm proud to say the Spotlight Initiative is a high-impact initiative. We achieved that status because this initiative has delivered results. And it has proven its model for addressing one of the major obstacles of sustainable development: violence against women and girls. Today, we call on every member state to treat violence against women and girls as the emergency that it is. We call on governments to develop national plans based on Spotlight Initiative's comprehensive model and to dedicate the necessary national funds to ensure those plans are implemented in full. And we call on donors to scale up Spotlight Initiative to become a $1 billion fund. With this support, Spotlight Initiative can support 60 countries and provide technical guidance to dozens more. It would allow us to place women and girls at the center of global solutions and would allow us to turbocharge the Sustainable Development Goals. Excellencies, friends, Spotlight Initiative has shown that ending violence against women and girls is possible. Together we can make it a reality. Join us in taking this model forward, in building it to full scale-up and accelerating the Sustainable Development Goals in every country and in everyone's life. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, Amina Mohammed, the Vice President of the European Commission for Democracy and Demography, Dubravka Šuica, Her Majesty, the Queen of Belgium, and SDG advocate, distinguished ministers, guests, friends, and colleagues. My name is Sinead Bovell, and I am a futurist, which means I study and I forecast the future. And what I've come to realize in this line of work is that the future isn't just about what happens tomorrow. It's about the decisions that we make today that shape tomorrow. And I feel a profound responsibility to tell the stories of the power and the responsibility we have to co-create futures that work for everyone. We are living in a time of unprecedented change and opportunity. We have the potential to solve some of humanity's greatest challenges, such as climate change, poverty, shaping our future with artificial intelligence. But we cannot overcome these challenges and seize these opportunities if we leave women and girls behind. They are not only half of the world's population, but half of the world's potential. And so before we embark on this journey together today, I want us to keep in mind that the future is not something that happens to us. It's something that we create together. And one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves about today, the moment we're in, and about the future we are building is, can we take pride in how we responded to the challenges that we faced? And I think we can, and I think we must. Let me show you what I mean. Against women is endemic in every country and culture. It is the most pervasive human rights violation in the world. 1 in 3 women globally will experience physical or sexual violence in her lifetime. In some places, we know this number is even higher, at least 2 in 3. But in 2017, something changed. The United Nations and the European Union decided to invest in Spotlight Initiative, a new global initiative with the goal of ending violence against women and girls by 2030, in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. Spotlight Initiative took on policy changes, institutional responses. They rallied governments, the private sector, grassroots organizations. By bringing together the entire UN system and this diverse array of partners, the initiative had an unprecedented impact at every level. And despite a global pandemic, a climate emergency, geopolitical challenges, the initiative thrived. The conviction rate for gender-based violence doubled across 12 countries. Almost 500 laws or policies were signed or strengthened to end violence against women and girls. National budgets to address gender-based violence increased tenfold across 14 countries. Close to 2.5 million women and girls accessed gender-based violence services. An estimated 3.5 million young people participated in and out of school programs promoting gender equitable attitudes and behaviors. And more than 40 countries have strengthened their national action plans to eliminate gender-based violence. We are at an inflection point in history. Humanity's next chapter is being coded as we speak, and we cannot afford to leave women and girls behind. If we don't end violence against women and girls, we won't be able to achieve gender equality by 2030, the 5th Sustainable Development Goal. We know that Spotlight Initiative works. We have the data, we have the blueprint. We just need to keep pressing forward. By investing in a comprehensive model that keeps communities safe, we can write the story of humanity's future, ensuring that respect and opportunity are extended to every individual, regardless of gender. Spotlight Initiative was chosen as a high-impact initiative because ending violence against women and girls is a precondition to achieving gender equality and the Sustainable Development Goals. Spotlight Initiative contributes to SDG 1, no poverty, by reducing women and girls marginalization. SDG 3, health and well-being. SDG 4, education, by keeping girls in school. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, by increasing women's access to decent work and their participation in the workforce. And critically, by contributing to SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. The initiative is strengthening institutions, civic space, and democracy. Spotlight Initiative will expand its universal outreach, strengthening its role as a model for localization and creating conditions for acceleration across the SDGs. The success we've seen from Spotlight Initiative would never have been possible without the vision, the commitment, and the unprecedented support from the European Union. Their faith in the initiative has been an investment in multilateralism, in UN reform, and in making a safer world for women and girls. So please join me in welcoming the Vice President of the European Commission for Democracy and Demography, Dubravka Šuica.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My thanks go to colleagues, friends, and to Amina for her opening remarks. I'm struck by how far we have come since Spotlight was launched 6 years ago here in New York. It is my honor to represent the European Union at this event that in 2017 was launched by a former Croatian commissioner. When Spotlight was put in motion, we had a vision of a world where no woman or girl should ever be subjected to any form of gender-based violence. a world where every single girl and woman has a voice and a choice. In just 5 years, our vision has turned into action and results. In just 5 years, the Spotlight Initiative has brought a wealth of good practices to drive global policy worldwide in the fight against gender-based violence. In just 6 years, we have taken on all forms of gender violence, and we are winning. We are spearheading a truly global movement. However, it takes much longer than 6 years to eradicate, and much remains still to be done. We live in challenging times. The effects of COVID, climate crisis, and conflicts are wide-ranging and have increased gender-based violence. It is urgent to scale up efforts and build on the results obtained so far. We have a wealth of knowledge, expertise, partnership, and a new way of working on gender-based violence that makes this initiative unique. It was only natural that the Spotlight Initiative was selected as one of the 12 high-impact initiatives within the framework of SDGs. The initiative remains key to progress toward SDG 5 and SDG 16. More broadly, eliminating gender-based violence and discriminatory social norms would contribute to the full realization of all SDGs. These are challenges which are unfortunately common to all our regions, so we must come together to face them. For this reason, I am glad to announce our decision to support the Spotlight Initiative High Impact Program for Violence Elimination by 2023 HIVE program with additional 16.5 million euros. Through this investment, we will ensure the achievements and results of the Spotlight Initiative are sustained. In addition, the Commission also supports 3 new Spotlight country programs. In the previous session on the Generation Equality Midpoint Summit, today we also announced a new contribution of 22 million euros to support feminist movement to combat violence against women and girls. This complements the work and the Spotlight to put civil society at the center. By joining forces with other donors and gender-based violence champions, we can make a lasting impact and create a world where everyone's safety and rights are respected and protected. A world free from gender-based violence, because a world that is free from gender-based violence is one where everyone is safer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. And a key line in there for me is Spotlight Initiative has taken on every form of gender-based violence, and we are winning. So please join me in welcoming our next speaker, Belgium's Minister of Development Cooperation, Caroline Genez.
Good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to have the opportunity to speak to you today. But more so, I'm honored that I had the opportunity to listen to the inspiring stories of activism, of female activism. They strengthen my resolve to continue the fight to end violence against women and girls, to fight for the elimination of harmful practices, and to fight against female genital mutilation. Tackling gender-based violence is part of a broader and ongoing struggle for equal rights and bodily autonomy for women and girls. That fight is fought every single day, all over the world, and we cannot look the other way. In Afghanistan, women and girls are demanding to return to school. In Iran, female protesters are demanding freedom to decide upon their own lives. In the US, women activists are standing up for sexual and reproductive health and rights. And all over the world, survivors of female genital mutilation are sharing their story. A story about human rights. These violations of women's rights are aggravated by the existence of toxic masculinities and harmful gender stereotypes. We need to transform and tackle them. Belgium is convinced that this requires a multi-dimensional, survivor-centered approach that ensures access to physical, psychological, legal, and economic support and reparation. It is also necessary to adopt an intersectional approach to gender-based violence that considers the needs of vulnerable populations, women and girls, men and boys, children in armed conflict, and LGBTQI+ populations. By working and bringing our efforts together in the Spotlight Initiative, we can effectively combat gender-based violence and make a transformative difference in the lives of women and girls all over the world. It is crucial that those who survived sexual and gender-based violence are involved in the design and implementation of the prevention and response to this kind of violence. Because no solution can be truly sustainable if it doesn't include the views and priorities of the survivors. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to announce, on behalf of the Belgian government, that we will be part of the adventure by contributing €2 million to the second phase of the Spotlight Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. And I take note that even the language we use on this topic matters, survivor-centered approach. So Spotlight Initiative invites others to join as it scales up to a $1 billion fund supporting catalytic programming in 60 countries in line with the universal challenge of gender-based violence. And we are honored to have with us some government leaders in the room today. And their presence, it is a sign of their commitment to building safe nations for all of their citizens. The government of Sierra Leone has made addressing violence against women and girls a national priority and was instrumental as the co-sponsor of the UN General Assembly resolution on access to justice for survivors of sexual violence, which was adopted unanimously last year. Sierra Leone will become a Spotlight Initiative country. So please welcome Sierra Leone's Chief Minister, Chief Innovation Officer, and Advisor to the President, Dr. David Senghe, to the stage.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, I bring you greetings from His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio, who couldn't be here with us today. But he wants me to assure all of us that ending violence against women and girls is not just a national priority or a global concern, it is existential. That's how we think about it in Sierra Leone, at least. Because it is so inextricably intertwined with broader stability and prosperity, the costs of violence against women and girls are borne by all of society, and it hinders all our people from achieving peace and prosperity as laid out in the SDGs. Investing in protecting girls and women is a priority for our government. Tackling gender-based violence and advancing gender equality is at the core of our country's human capital development agenda. In 2018, his unwavering commitment to dismantle the barriers of gender inequality, President Bio took the extraordinary step to declare a state of emergency on the heinous crimes of rape and sexual and gender-based violence. He mobilized state resources and actors, championed justice, changed laws, especially for the marginalized and underprivileged, by broadening the spectrum of legal aid and instituting a specialized court to expedite the adjudication of sexual offenses. We've passed progressive gender equality and women's empowerment laws and increased women's participation across all levels of government. Just a few examples. We enacted the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Law, which provided for a minimum of 30% of women representation in political positions in public service. We just had our election a couple of weeks ago, and today, Sierra Leone's parliament is the most diverse it's ever been, with 30% of its lawmakers women. We didn't stop there. 30% of... Thank you. 30% of all cabinet ministers are women, many of them under 35. The First Lady's Hands of Our Girls campaign to protect teenage girls from early marriage and early sex has contributed to a 30% reduction in teenage pregnancy. We passed the radical inclusion policy to allowing pregnant girls back into school with kids who are excluded, and through this process have expanded enrollment by well over 37%. we established and rolled out the nationwide toll-free line for reporting of sexual and gender-based violence, bringing response back into society, and review the laws for not just gender-based violence, but things that ensure that our children, and especially girls, who are victims, are protected. Now, it's important for us to know that these things can lead to solutions that have real meaning in people's lives. And today in Sierra Leone, over the last couple of years, we've seen the reduction of maternal mortality by about 30%. Our government is committed to sustaining and expanding on these results. And today we're committing to working with the Spotlight Initiative as a reference and example for our whole of society approach, preventing and responding to violence. As a recent Minister of Education, I know the value of such integrated and interconnected high-impact initiatives. Sierra Leone will play a key role in leading and delivering for our women and girls, leaving no one behind. I would like to thank the European Union and all of our other partners who have committed to supporting us to expand this impact in our countries. And in Sierra Leone, we will commit to expanding our own local domestic financing budget to support these initiatives as well. Allow me to end by observing that change is hard, but change is possible. And as we've seen in Sierra Leone, when we commit to eliminating all forms of violence, especially against women and girls, we're better for it. And our children will thank us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Incredibly inspiring remarks and work by Sierra Leone. The government of Timor-Leste has been a leading partner in implementing the first phase of Spotlight Initiative, where the national budget dedicated to the prevention and elimination of violence against women and girls has almost doubled since 2019. This is evidence of Spotlight Initiative's catalytic role in unlocking resources and ensuring sustainability. Please join me in welcoming Foreign Minister Bendito dos Santos Freta to the stage for his welcoming remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to represent Timor-Leste at this high-level event to share our views and experiences on the Spotlight Initiative to end violation against women and girls, one of the growing appalling realities of today's world. At the outset, we wish to express our sincere appreciation to Ms. Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary-General, for the invitation extended to His Excellency, Mr. Xanana Gusmão, Prime Minister of Timor-Leste, to participate in this initiative. However, due to the important commitments in the country, he could not take part in this high-level event. Distinguished delegates, we are cognizant that violence against women and girls is one of the most widespread, relentless, and distressing human rights violations in the world. It is one of the major obstacles to the realization of rights of women and girls and to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Therefore, it is one of the critical areas of concern in Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste has been demonstrating its commitment to ending violence against women and girls and intimate partner violence. In this process, Timor-Leste is full of gratitude to all the development partners, such as the European Union and the UN agencies, for their outstanding support. We appreciate the Spotlight Initiative as a global partnership to eliminate all forms of violence against women and girls. We are one of the countries benefiting from the Spotlight Initiative. This program is in line with the commitments of Timor-Leste's National Action Plan on gender-based violence against the National SDG Roadmap to promote and protect the dignity and rights of women. It has been contributing to the reduction of domestic violence, intimate partner violence, by responding to the needs of women and girls and addressing the underlying causes of violence against women and girls. Excellencies, in addition, the Spotlight initiative has been used as means to accelerate Timor-Leste's progress toward reaching its targets under 2030 agenda, particularly SDG number 4 on gender equality, but also SDG 3, health and well-being, SDG 4, quality education, SDG 8, promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, employment and decent work for all, as well as SDG 10, reduce inequalities, and SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, and SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and SDG 17 on partnerships. The overall objective of the initiative is to ensure that women and girls enjoy the right to a life free of violence within an inclusive and gender equitable in Timor-Leste. Furthermore, we expect that the continuation of this initiative will strengthen the country's legal frameworks and institutions to promote positive social norms, increase access to support services for survivors of violence, improve the collection and use of data for better policy making, and strengthening the work of civil society organizations. Consequently, this will support transformative change on the ground to reduce and eliminate violence against women and girls and its harmful practices. To conclude, I wish to reaffirm Timor-Leste's commitment to continue to engage with the global partnership to end the violation against women and girls. In this regard, we reiterate our deep appreciation to the Spotlight initiative championed by the European Union in coordination with UN Women, UNFPA, UNICEF, WHO, UNDP, and other stakeholders. Together, we can build a better world where no one is left behind. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you for your commitment. Ending violence against women and girls will require action from all sectors of our society, from our political leaders to grassroots organizations, to our cultural institutions, and to the creators who entertain and enlighten us through their art, their talent, and their voice. We are lucky to have with us two powerful forces of positivity for our first musical performance. MILCK is a recording artist, writer, producer, and social change artist who is known for her anthemic songs that put words to the emotions behind global grassroots movements. Her song, Quiet, was a viral sensation that was named Billboard's #1 protest song of the year and was an anthem of the Me Too movement in the United States. Natasha Bedingfield is a Grammy and Brit Awards-nominated singer and songwriter who was ranked by VH1 as one of the 100 greatest women in music in 2012. Together, they will be performing, for the first time ever, actually, their duet, Your Child, My Child. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Testing, testing. Just plugging the guitar in.
We are so honored to be here and to be able to sing for you all. We know that it is a privilege to be a woman in this world, to sing publicly. I know that's not a right for all women, and so we hold this song very dearly. This song is called Your Child, My Child, and we thought it would be perfect for this event. Natasha came to me and asked me to write a song with her, and I'd love for you to share the origins if you'd like. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we, there was another incidence of violence, and we were just coming to a writing session, and I was like, let's write a song that brings everyone together because everyone's so divided. And I just love a room like this where it's full of everyone who's trying to have creative solutions. And one of my friends lost her child due to gun violence. And she stood up in front of her community and she said, please don't let this harden me. And that's what I feel like this song is about. And I hope that you can just feel your heart, your arms uncrossing and our hearts open around this issue.
When I got the call from you, it was a shot to my heart. Feeling lost and confused. Am I doing my part? They say the reasons are complex, then they change the subject. As you live with the effects, we move on and we forget. We move on and we forget. What can I say? How can I make it better for you? I wish I could lay the answers at your feet. Your child is my child. Your pain, my pain. I want to say I'm sure that it will never happen again. My child is your child. My pain is your pain. I know that things will change when enough of us will say enough, enough, enough. Oh yeah, enough, enough, enough. All the fear that it brings up, we bolt our doors and windows shut, and it paralyzes us, and we make it about us. It is and isn't about us. What will it take for us to be safe and still be free? I wish I could lay the answers at your feet. Your child, my child, your pain, my pain. I wanna say I'm sure that it will never happen again. My child is your child, my pain is your pain. I know that things will change when enough of us will say enough, enough, enough. Oh yeah, yeah, enough, enough, enough. Staring at the blank page before you. Open up the dirty window. Let the sun illuminate the words that you cannot find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Put yourself in words unspoken. Live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins. The rest is still my child, my child, your child, my child, your child, my child, your child, my child.
Thank you, Natasha Bedingfield, for inspiring and teaching me so much. This song is a song I wrote and produced for John Legend. And the work you all are doing here is going to help empower more girls to be able to write and produce their music and put it out into the world. This song is called Stardust, and hope you enjoy. And thank you to Koye and Spotlight for having me. You're vast like the ocean, yet the voices in your head have got you. You don't really know how powerful you are. Always in motion, I smile to myself as I watch you. You don't need to win me over, I've been yours. You don't need to dress it up, no, no. Don't need to put on airs to make me care. Don't need them golden cups, no, no. I mean, I know you're scared, but are you aware? You're made of stardust, the universe inside you. A straight up miracle. It's so incredible how we sometimes can't forget we're brilliant like stars. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Luminous. I don't want perfection. You don't like it when I see right through you. Tell me what you're hiding. I love you just the same. Yeah. Love's made of lessons through all the hell and all the hallelujah. You don't need to worry, I'm not playing games. You don't need a dress of love, no, no. Don't need to put on airs to make me care. Don't need them golden cups, no, no. I mean, I know you're scared, but are you aware? Oh, you were made of stardust, the universe inside you, yeah, yeah. Every time that I look into your eyes, I can take a deeper breath. You're brilliant like stardust. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Luminous. Yeah, stardust. Luminous. We are made of stardust, you and I. The universe inside us, you and I. A straight up miracle. It's so incredible how we sometimes can forget we're brilliant like stardust. Luminous. You were made of stardust.
Thank you so much for those beautiful performances. I think we could all feel the stillness in the room, really absorbing every single word. So another round of applause, actually, for these incredible artists. And it is now my honor to welcome to the stage a powerful global voice on ending violence against women and girls and raising a new generation of men. Cecilia Suárez is an Ariel Award winner and Emmy International nominated Mexican actress. In 2020, she was appointed by the UN Secretary-General as UN Global Advocate for Spotlight Initiative, where she raises awareness on violence against women and girls with a particular focus on ending femicide in Latin America. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Good evening. In memory of Mahsa Amini. And now I am switching to my native Spanish. Por momentos, nos quedamos mudas, incapaces de pronunciar palabra cuando nuestros ojos recorren las cifras registradas de agresiones, abusos, violaciones y muertes contra las mujeres en el mundo entero. De tan apabullantes, pareciera que buscan asesinar nuestras palabras, incapaces de articularse ante el dolor, el horror y la ceguera, que no únicamente continúan, sino que parecen crecer. Nos quedamos afónicas, incapaces de encontrar el verbo o el sustantivo para no gritar, para convertir la rabia y el dolor en una propuesta que conmueva y que convenza. Lo irónico es que no nos queda otro camino sino hacernos siempre de palabras que traduzcan en ideas las vidas cegadas, quebrantadas y rotas de millones de mujeres y niñas. Escuchen, por favor. En 2017, 87,000 mujeres fueron intencionalmente asesinadas. De esas, 50,000 fueron por compañeros íntimos, sentimentales o miembros de su propia familia. Entonces, volvemos a preguntar, ¿qué se odia de nosotras? ¿La sumisión? ¿La rebeldía? ¿Las preguntas? ¿El hartazgo? ¿La resistencia? ¿A quién se odia en nosotras? ¿A la madre? ¿A la amiga? ¿La hermana? ¿A la esposa? ¿Al amante? ¿O simplemente a cualquier mujer? ¿Por qué se nos odia? Si triunfamos, como las futbolistas españolas coronadas recientemente campeonas del mundo, nos odian. Si fracasamos, también nos odian. Pareciera nuestra condena a un oscuro callejón sin salida, puesto que nada parece mitigar esa rabia sorda, ese odio visceral a las mujeres y a todo lo que ellas representan. Pero sépanlo todas y todos. Para nosotras, el odio no es opción. Fuera de toda duda, las mujeres del mundo hemos tenido logros alcanzados con tesón, convencimiento y especialmente amor y compromiso por la vida, la paz, el respeto y la comprensión de nosotras mismas y de los demás. Hemos hollado todos los caminos, abierto todos los canales de comunicación, todas las maneras de pedir, de exigir, de construir. El esfuerzo institucional está siendo visible en sus resultados, pero frágil de cara al mañana, pues depende del convencimiento a quienes tienen en sus manos de la necesaria y urgente continuidad de esta iniciativa. Por eso, las palabras siguen siendo nuestras aliadas más poderosas, las que permiten abrir mentalidades, exponer realidades, manifestar nuestras propuestas, compartir los caminos. Son las palabras las que nos permiten considerar que la educación es un espacio esencial de este esfuerzo por transformar los pensamientos y las actitudes que nos esclavizan a todos, porque el dolor y el quebranto no pertenece únicamente a las víctimas, sino también a quien agrede. Una educación pública y privada que como dique prevenga que las nuevas generaciones de adolescentes y jóvenes dejen de considerar que la violencia de género no existe y que los cuerpos y vidas de las mujeres existen para satisfacción de quien quiera emplearlos, objetivizarlos y desecharlos. Baste revisar el histórico esfuerzo que hemos hecho en el simple convencimiento de que nuestro cuerpo es solo nuestro. Me atrevo a considerar que llegará el día que las palabras mismas se transformen y compriman mientras las mujeres del mundo emitimos un grito imperecedero que abarque el universo conocido con un basta ya, ni una más. Ese grito no será ya ni una súplica ni un intento de convencimiento, sino la manifestación poderosa de nuestra sobrevivencia, porque nuestra opción es y será siempre la vida. Gracias.
Thank you so much for your powerful words and for reminding us that hate is not an option, that our only option is and will always be life. Natalie Portman is an Academy Award-winning actress, director, author, and activist. She has been nominated for the Golden Globes, Screen Actors Guild Award, BAFTA Award, and has won the Critics' Choice Award. In addition to her film work, she devotes her time to several humanitarian causes with an emphasis on supporting women and girls. She is also the co-founder of Angel City Football Club, a Los Angeles-based professional national women's soccer league team. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, and friends, it is an honor for me to address you on a topic close to my heart, the achievements of the first phase of the Spotlight Initiative in the global effort to end violence against women and girls. When I was 25, I traveled to Uganda. There, I met a woman, Fatima, who started her own business cooking food at a stall in the market. She had 3 children and her own home. When I asked her what the best part of having her business was, she answered me that it was the ability to throw out her abusive husband because she was financially independent. Fatima's freedom from violence afforded to her by economic independence allowed every other area of her life to thrive. I had never before realized the interconnectedness of economic empowerment and physical safety, but I quickly understood this was not the case only for Fatima, but for women globally. A decade later, the shockwaves of the courageous testimonies of women in my own industry, entertainment, inspired by Tarana Burke's Me Too movement, first among them my sister Ashley Judd, who I'm humbled to be here with today, brought the ubiquity of sexual violence closer to home. This time I learned sexual violence not only affected survivors' physical and mental well-being, but also their ability to participate in their profession. I was exposed to the brutal psychological, legal, and economic ramifications of these horrific acts of violence. And as many of us in the entertainment industry gathered with women in other industries to share experiences and search for solutions, we found that the same patterns of violence existed for farm workers, restaurant workers, healthcare workers, journalists, women in tech, and on and on. As we struggled among ourselves to learn how to create structures that would prevent future abuse as well as serve the survivors of abuse, The only thing that was clear was that no single input would be helpful, but rather several were needed at once. And that is why the Spotlight Initiative's approach has such resonance to me, because they have a comprehensive model that seeks to address the multitude of causes and effects of violence on women and girls. The Spotlight Initiative, launched in 2017, has been a beacon of hope for survivors around the globe. Its unwavering commitment to eradicating violence, ending harmful practices, and ensuring access to justice and support services is unprecedented. This groundbreaking initiative has brought together governments, civil society organizations, and communities to address the root causes of violence against women and girls. Since 2019, Spotlight Initiative's investments ensured that the conviction rate for perpetrators of gender-based violence doubled across 12 countries. Almost 500 laws and policies were signed to end violence against women and girls. $190 million was allocated to civil society organizations. National budgets to address gender-based violence increased tenfold across 14 countries, and 2.5 million women and girls have accessed gender-based violence services. By providing access to comprehensive support services, it ensures that survivors are not only heard, but also guided toward healing and rebuilding their lives. Spotlight Initiative's comprehensive model could lead to the effective prevention of violence for 21 million women and girls by 2025, according to Dahlberg. By tackling the deep-seated gender inequalities that perpetuate violence, Spotlight seeks to change cultural norms and attitudes that condone such behavior. Through continued prevention efforts, 1 million more girls would stay in school by 2025. As one of my favorite writers, Rebecca Solnit, put it so well in her book, Men Explain Things to Me, we tend to treat violence and the abuse of power as though they fit into airtight categories: harassment, intimidation, threat, battery, rape, murder. But we need to address the slippery slope rather than compartmentalizing the varieties of misogyny and dealing with each separately. A man acts on the belief that you have no right to speak and that you don't get the right to define what's going on. That could mean just cutting you off at the dinner table or the conference. It could also mean telling you to shut up, or threatening you if you open your mouth, or beating you for speaking, or killing you to silence you forever. The overwhelming levels of violence against women and girls is as much a threat to our voices as it is to our lives. Humanity is losing out on the full expression of half its citizens, as those citizens are being deprived of their essential human rights. The achievements of the Spotlight Initiative serve as a testament that although we still have enormous work to do, our collective determination to eliminate violence against women and girls can make meaningful impact. Echoing the words of the Deputy Secretary-General, I encourage every country here to develop a national plan to end violence against women and girls, based on the Spotlight Initiative's comprehensive model. Every country should have adequately funded budgets dedicated to ending violence against women and girls, and to create an environment where survivors feel supported and perpetrators are held accountable. And I urge UN member states to reinvest in the Spotlight Initiative and its comprehensive model. Let us continue to amplify the voices of survivors, advocate for justice, and stand against the injustices faced by women and girls worldwide. Together, we can build a future where violence against women and girls becomes a dark chapter in history, and where their rights are respected, their voices realized. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for your powerful words and vision, and for reinforcing the importance of a comprehensive model by a startling example of the linkages, for example, between economic empowerment and physical safety. And we know we can draw those correlations in health, in education, and so on. A key feature in Spotlight Initiative's comprehensive model of partnership is the involvement of civil society organizations and the women's movement in design and decision-making at every level. In fact, more than 4,000 local and grassroots women's rights organizations reported having greater influence because of Spotlight Initiative. And almost half of the initiative's program funds, around $190 million, has been allocated to civil society organizations. By using the UN's unique convening power and bringing government and civil society to the table, the initiative is also strengthening civic space. The Spotlight Initiative is demonstrating a new way of partnering with civil society, strengthening transformative results, sustainability, and civic space. Please welcome our next speaker, Terry Dale Ince, a member of the Spotlight Initiative Civil Society Reference Group in Trinidad and Tobago. She is a social entrepreneur and rights advocate who has worked extensively with underserved communities. Please join me in welcoming her.
Hello. It's a tough act to follow, Natalie, sorry. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege to address the forum and represent the civil society of Spotlight Initiative. But before I start, I just want to acknowledge the crisis, many crises that's happening around the world, particularly, most recently, the earthquake in Morocco, the floods in Libya, the ongoing crisis in Haiti. And we stand in solidarity with the women there. The civil society, we are the ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. Over the years, I have volunteered across continents and ultimately founded the CEDAW Committee of Trinidad and Tobago, which is grounded in the principles of non-discrimination, substantive equality, and state accountability, and working to ensure women and girls' development, rights, and leadership. After attending the Spotlight Initiative launch in Trinidad, I was excited by the possibility of this comprehensive initiative that had committed funding and actions to end violence against women and girls. We in civil society know that if you want to end violence, all stakeholders, especially civil society and feminist activists, must be involved from the beginning. So our advocacy to the UN and the EU for civil society engagement was intense, and it worked. We have worked to establish a whole work area on strengthening women's movements and a structure through which civil society is involved. Indeed, for civil society, meaningful participation is more than checking boxes. It's a process, and it's essential to end violence against women and girls and gender-based violence. As the chair of the Caribbean Regional Spotlight Initiative and the chair of the Regional Reference Group, I can say that the Spotlight Initiative has been far from perfect. In her speech yesterday at the Women's Major Group event, the Deputy Secretary-General candidly shared that even before the pandemic, we were not delivering at the scale of the SDGs' ambition. However, a shift is happening. In Trinidad and Tobago, we launched the first ever gender-based violence unit, which should be considered a model for the region. The sensitization of the frontliners of this unit supports the expectation that they are more empathetic, compassionate, and better qualified to work with survivors. This led to increased trust in the system, resulting in more reporting from the public, those persons experiencing violence, and those witnessing it. For the first time, member states have access to a Caribbean contextualized, standardized approach to data collection and analysis. Therefore, the region will have comparable data on gender-based violence. This stabilizes institutions in the region by strengthening capacities to ensure that there is cohesion, sustainability, and continuance after Spotlight. For civil society globally, our continued advocacy for inclusion has resulted in 48% of the funding going directly to civil society organizations. It's a step in the right direction, but beyond the funding, it means political commitment to supporting and working with civil society and towards strengthening the existing movements in country and regionally. The opportunity to do development differently. Using the convening power of the United Nations to place feminist civil society at the table with governments, leveraging our influence, which in turn strengthens civic spaces and builds the capacity of institutions to deliver for women and girls in all their diversity. So we must therefore use the Spotlight Initiative as a template for continued improvement. We will create meaningful alliances so that more women have increased capacity to implement their business plans with seed funding and social accountability, mechanisms to assess availability and quality of services for survivors. So what I know for sure is that gender-based violence work is generational and must be intentional, must be consistent, and must be funded. It is an investment in all of society's future, not just the women and girls and families that are directly impacted. Without sustained investment, there's little opportunity to build on successes like those achieved during the Spotlight Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, the work has just begun. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And as a futurist, I will say innovation is really the key to everlasting change, especially in society. And so one of Spotlight Initiative's many innovations has been its meaningful engagement of content creators and entertainers to shift the culture of violence. Through its #WithHer campaign and its associated culture change commitment, Spotlight Initiative aims to educate the content creation industry on the role they play in shaping culture and empowering them with the tools and resources they need. Here's a video to highlight some of that activation.
Culture is created. Culture can be changed, and it must be changed.
And I decided to move forward because I was like, I don't want this to happen to somebody else. The way that this happened is so organized. This is clearly not the first time. I don't want this to happen to someone else. This cycle ends with me.
But it's all men's responsibility.
Music can lead to real-life violence against women.
I'm listening to that over and over again. As a woman, to constantly hear that, and as a man or a young boy, to constantly hear that's how you talk about a woman, and then your perception that you have on women, and you see a girl and you're like, look at that bitch. Oh, it's only because I hear that over and over.
True equity and equality is people having the freedom to do what they want. Like I said, like people seeing that I'm doing more of the cooking and leaving comments like, oh, Raya's doing the cooking. Maybe I just love it.
I think the problem of violence and aggression against women actually begins in the way that we teach men what it means to be a man.
If you are making stories and creating content, you have a role to play in helping our civilization navigate a transition that we may never have made before.
But when we think about what feminism is, period, it's just believing the equality of both genders, right?
It is now my honor to introduce our distinguished panel from the world of entertainment. Joining Cecilia Suárez and Natalie Portman on the podium today is actor and UNFPA Goodwill Ambassador, Ashley Judd, a champion for sexual and reproductive health of women and girls, and actor and UNDP Goodwill Ambassador, Nicola Coster-Waldau, an advocate for the Sustainable Development Goals. And last but not least, singer and songwriter and UNDP Goodwill Ambassador, Yemi Alade, a global voice on fighting inequality, championing women's rights, and raising awareness to the impacts of climate change. Please give them all a warm round of applause. So it can be argued that the global entertainment industry is one of the greatest disseminators of culture. For thousands of years, human civilizations have used storytelling, song, and dance to communicate beliefs and norms and histories. Do you think the entertainment industry recognizes its power and its influence in shaping societal views? And do you think it wields that influence responsibly, especially when it comes to women and girls? We can go down the panel.
Okay, I'll just start then.
And a reminder.
Okay, thank you for that question. I'll just start. Maybe we go that way, right? Okay. My name is Yemi Alade, and I am from Nigeria. But you see, the beautiful thing about music, I am a musician. The beautiful thing about music is that music is a world of its own, where it doesn't matter what language you speak originally. The main language that we speak in the music world is music. Now, I say this because it doesn't matter where you actually come from at the end of the day. When we sing in our songs, I don't think some musicians understand the effect that they have on people's minds. You know, there's something about words. When you use a lot of words and you repeat them over and over again, they start to manifest. I personally am very careful with the words that I use. I do not swear in my music on purpose because I believe that opens the door to other words that I could potentially use in my music. So that's kind of like some boundaries. But I don't think a lot of artists understand that they have a very big role to play in helping the listeners, the people at home, to harness a better, the positives in life than what, negatives come out in music at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you.
I think absolutely. I think it reproduces life, and therefore, especially young people are imitating that and understanding their own selves through that. And just to mention an example, pornography, where women are learning to be a victim, to experience violence instead of being in a consensuous relationship. And guys are learning how to be rapists and how to be violent with women. So absolutely, the entertainment industry has a role in shaping our society, in telling us who we are and how we behave and how we feel about that. I don't think it's being responsible altogether about it. In some ways it is. But I think it's also an element of patriarchy to maintain and sustain the system. It is very well thought of.
I absolutely agree that the entertainment industry is pivotal in shaping the culture, and I don't think that the industry as a whole has been conscious of how it shapes gender dynamics. Having two kids, I've been blessed to have a boy and a girl, and to see how they come out where they like all sorts of things, and then see how culture shapes what is allowed and what is not allowed as per gender has been really mind-blowing, because I watched both of them, start out being interested in playing with sticks and cars and balls and interested in all colors, and then certain things became not acceptable. And I think that we see that it's very limiting what is allowed for boys and what is allowed for girls, and to redefine that so that boys can be emotional, can be sensitive, can be empathetic, and still be masculine, and girls can be strong and tough and express what they want and need, and seek their own joy. All of those things should be part of our entertainment to influence them, because we see how much it shapes their gender identification.
Good afternoon. It's so good to be in community with you here at home at the United Nations, and I'm really
delighted to be on this panel with my colleagues. Natalie and I have known each other since 1999. And Cecilia, your words were just searing, ni uno más, ni uno más. And I very much agree with the consensus so far that Hollywood in particular, understanding there are other cinematic centers like Bollywood and all the incredible film coming out of Iran and other places in the world, that we have a grave responsibility. So I want to tell a story, and then I also want to talk about the Gina Davis Institute on Gender and Media, because first of all, the story is that there was this big blockbuster film with one of the most popular male actors of the second half of the 20th century, and there was the scene in the movie in which the hero is running through a party and he passes a hot tub. I don't know if anybody's going to recognize this scene. But in the hot tub, a man has a woman by the hair and he's drowning her underwater and saying that he's doing so because the blank, expletive, derogatory term for a woman, won't blank me, using very crude language for performing oral sex on him. The hero stops, looks at him, shrugs, and runs off. Just think about what it took to create this scene. A writer had to write it. The studio had to approve it. The casting director had to cast the woman. She had to go to costumes to get her bikini. She had to go to hair and makeup. There had to be someone on hand for safety in the water. How many people were complicit in this unbelievable male entitlement to a female body that was in a film that grossed over $200 million? This is the up with which we cannot put, and Hollywood has to change. And we have made great strides since Me Too and Time's Up, which Natalie so elegantly, delineated for us from the podium. And the Gina Davis Institute on Gender and Media is talking about how women are 52% of moviegoers, 51% of the population, but men still outnumber women in leading roles 2 to 1. Or the representation of women my age over 50, proud of it, is so small compared to the cohort we are demographically. And so once we reify and capture this data, we can make changes, and it starts in the writer's room. It starts with the script. But 67% of all writers in the showroom said that they were sexually harassed by the showrunner. So we have a lot of progress to make, but it starts with having the information and telling the truth in rooms like this, that male entitlement to female bodies and male sexual violence has got to end in Hollywood. Thank you.
So I just want to say I agree. No, but I do think it's a very interesting conversation. And I think that the question was if we have a responsibility. I think, yes, we all have a responsibility. And to talk about it in the entertainment industry as a whole, it's, the world is big and it's very different in one part of the world to the other. But I also think that there's a fine line, because we're also seeing suddenly, and listen, we're here because we need to put an end to gender equality, to violence against women. We all agree on that. But art is subjective, and it needs to be free. And I'm not talking about making stupid movies where you drown women. That's not what I'm saying. But at the end of it, you need to have freedom of expression. And right now, we're seeing all over the world suddenly this step back to censorship. And I think that is, to me, a very dangerous route to walk down. So yes, of course, we have a responsibility. But we all have. And I have a responsibility. I have 2 daughters raising my kids to understand that they have the same worth as their male friends. We all have a responsibility.
Thank you. And I want to talk about the role of social media and digital environments and what role they've been playing in our cultures. And we know that there are a lot of statistics. Around 85% of women have witnessed online violence. 40% have personally experienced it. But arguably even more disturbing is that we know that women are now not going into leadership roles and political roles because of the harassment they'll face online, such as doxing and things. And Ashley, I know you've been a leading voice in sharing your own experiences of sexual violence, and you've been very vocal about online gender-based violence. So I want to ask, what have your experiences been like online? And what impact do you think social media is having on violence against women and girls? And feel free to jump in after the rest of the panel.
Thank you so much for the question. And the backstory to this is that I'm a Kentucky basketball fan, for anyone for whom that means something. And I was at a game, and one of my players was bleeding, and I thought the official missed a call, and I had the audacity to critique an official. How dare I? The next thing I knew, I had death threats and rape threats. And so I ended up doing a TED Talk about online misogyny. And you know, I've gained a bunch of weight, for example. I broke my leg in 5 places, paralyzed my foot, I couldn't move, you know, I got really sick. And so this will be a topic of conversation online when I'm here at UNGA and talking at the Clinton Global Initiative tomorrow. It's just standard, and I reject it wholesale. And the solution is for organizations like the Women's Media Center to organize standardized definitions of what online gender violence, of what it consists, so that people know where to go to get information and then know how to support each other, whether it's doxing, as was mentioned, having the data that a female journalist, when she writes a certain kind of article, will receive death and rape threats. And as was mentioned, women are constrained from going into leadership because we fear this online retaliation. So boys and men have to change. You know, that's a simple one. And they need to be incentivized to do so and encouraged and understood while they grow into their part of gender equality. And we have to model, you know, being a disruptor and upstander instead of a bystander with evidence-based programs like Mentoring Violence Prevention, founded by Jackson Katz. So all of these things go into the mix, and girls and women just need to persist and persevere and stay online. And we need to have female alliances where we intervene on each other's behalf and say, you know, this is not okay, and this is, again, the up with which we will not put. Thank you.
And might I add that platforms, digital platforms, are also have a role to play in this. If it wouldn't be something that would happen in a physical store, it shouldn't be allowed on your platform. And so in 2017, the Me Too movement, it took the world by storm. And not only because of the stories that were being shared about abuse and exploitation, but also because of the acts of solidarity and strength from women, both in and out of the industry. Do you think the Me Too movement has lost some momentum? And if so, why?
I may. I think it is transforming. I think it is evolving. I think it is attending different needs in different places in the world. But it's alive, and it will continue to be alive for a long time. And we hope not so long. We hope to get where we want to be at sooner. So that's my hope.
I just want to say, I think that, yeah, of course, it's transforming, and you're absolutely right. And I think it's one of the best things that have come out of our business in a long time. And I think the big thing for me is what I think Natalie mentioned, that suddenly it wasn't just in our business, as we all know. It's in every aspect of society that abuse of power happens. And I think that suddenly people could recognize themselves and suddenly had the courage to step forward, and it was long overdue, and I salute the women who took the risk of stepping forward.
I'd like to add something to everything that that everyone here has said. It seems to me that there is something that we all individually need to do, and that is to go home and reorientate our people. Yes, the girl child is really experiencing a lot. There's a lot of inequality, and then there's the violence against females. But it's not the women inflicting these violence acts on themselves. Why is this happening? I ask myself, and I believe that if at home, the basic institution of life, which is family, if we are able to reorientate our male children, and also even educate our female children how to dialogue, how to converse. These are things that are missing even in the school curriculum, you know, but like if we go home and try to undo the wrong that we have done unknowingly, or we have ignored saying, oh, he's a kid or she's a kid, and then they grow up into adults who, you know, do this, who actually practice violence against females. I think we just need to go home and do our homework. That's what I think, yeah.
I think Me Too was an inflection point that really brought these issues to the forefront of every conversation, and that was incredible. And so when you say, has it died down, I think, of course, it's inevitable that when there's such an explosion of cultural shift and mind shift and understanding, it's extraordinary how present it is in our conversation, and then it inevitably becomes less so because it becomes part of what we accept. And also we're dealing with legal systems and political structures that hold these abuses in place. And so we, you know, obviously that change it always lags behind culture shift. So, you know, we need to keep pushing with all of the legal transformation that needs to happen to support and rise to the level of the courage of the survivors who've come forward.
Yes. I just want to say, what is Me Too, right? What was Tarana's founding intention? It is empowerment through empathy. It's when women and girls tell their stories of being survivors of male sexual violence, and we understand and have compassion. And as was said, you know, when I really see someone, I am recruited to their welfare. And the Me Too movement website is thriving, and so I encourage everyone to check it out. It has questions like, I am a survivor, I know someone is, I suspect someone I know is. You can enter your zip code and find local resources to help you through your sexual trauma. There's videos, there's training. It is alive and it is well. Thank you.
And I love the term transforming, because it's no longer just a movement. It's become a way of life. It's become something that we're constantly striving towards. And so if you could leave the audience with one piece of advice or one message, what would it be? And should we start at the end and go this way?
One piece of advice. Show kindness. I mean, we need more of that, and then insist on listening to the people you disagree with. I think we really need that.
Be a bonobo. Bonobos are the great apes who are male sexual coercion and male dominance free. They are matriarchal, egalitarian, they have high female dominance, and they do this through female coalitions. Females always have the right to copulate or not copulate, and there's no retaliation if she declines a solicitation. And they have a special cry that they emit if a male does aggress. There's not really male aggression, but all females help all females in the bonobo primate community, whether or not they know each other, whether or not they like each other, which can be measured through grooming and playing and sharing resources, and whether or not they're related. We need to be bonobos. Thank you.
I love that. I would say to celebrate women's voices. The more we celebrate each other and encourage women to speak, I think that's the counter to all of the silencing that is going on through the violence.
I am happy to be here because I know there's leaders here. Invest in education, for Christ's sake, please. The answer is there. We need to teach girls and teenagers that there's other possibilities, and we need to teach boys as well that there's other ways to experience masculinity. So please, please invest in education.
I mean, I'd like to echo everything everyone has said here on the panel. And I think the one thing I'd like everyone here to take home is that whenever you are in a situation where you might see a person being victimized, the fact that you keep quiet and walk the other way makes you also the attacker. You are part of the problem. And I say that because a lot of us are silent when things happen in our home, in our neighborhood, to people we don't even know on the street. On social media, you see some videos where things happen to maybe a female or a guy, but everyone is walking about. Just be a little more conscious and of your environment and the people in them, because I need you, you need me, we need each other, and most importantly, just like he said, let there be peace and love amongst every one of us. That's it.
Thank you. A warm round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, the show is not over. Great, thank you. And thank you for our tremendous panelists. I think we all learned a lot, and I certainly did. But before our closing statements for the evening, we will hear from representatives from member states. So please keep your remarks to a minute or less. We would like to recognize the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs from the government of Lesotho. Please kindly raise your hand so that your microphone can be turned on. Great.
Thank you very much, Chair. Excellencies, honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we join you to underscore the need for agency on world leaders to address one of the gravest violations of human rights affecting our nations and the world at large, that of violence against women and girls. This issue is not only a moral concern, but a crucial component that has an impact on our economic and social development. Gender-based violence is a global malady that needs to be tackled globally and collectively. Basotho women play a vital role in our social fabric, comprising 63% of households' heads. Yet our women still face disparities in employment, economic opportunities, and political representation. We want to change this reality so that women empowerment becomes a cornerstone of our development agenda. We recognize that as a strive for a brighter future for our people, the scourge of gender-based violence hampers our progress on multiple fronts. Violence against women and girls is not merely a personal tragedy. It goes through our families, communities, and our entire country. The consequences are both immediate and long-term, encompassing physical, sexual, and mental trauma. By protecting women and girls, there will be a reduction of risk to contracting HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases, an improvement on attainment of education, a reduction of risks of mental illness and substance abuse. Healthy women and children means improved well-being of families and contributes to stability and household and community levels. Chair, as government, we are challenged to action to ensure that our female citizens are protected and can be assured unhindered participation in development of our country. We cannot deny the fact that gender-based violence is costly. It places a strain on our healthcare, legal, and police services, diverting resources away from the vital development endeavors. Recent findings with the support of the Commonwealth reveal that violence against women and girls costs us approximately 5.5% of the GDP, a staggering $113 million. This equates to each citizen losing at least $50 annually due to the economic impact of violence against women and girls. Our endeavors to development and democracy can only bear fruit when all, including women and girls, are safe and able to participate in daily activities.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency,
Thank you.
for those remarks.
Thank you.
And just to let everybody know, everything is running a little bit behind, so the plenaries won't be starting at 4:45. They'll actually be starting at 5 p.m. So we would now like to recognize the president of the National Institute for Women of Mexico. If you can just raise your microphone and we'll, oh, perfect, there we go.
Muy buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Como uno de los 5 países de América Latina que implementaron la iniciativa Spotlight, reconocemos y agradecemos a todos y todas las que participamos en este trabajo de erradicar la violencia basada en género en la colaboración con los gobiernos nacionales del mundo. Para el Gobierno de México, la erradicación de la violencia basada en género es una prioridad y hemos desarrollado e implementado una política nacional que se ha beneficiado de la colaboración con la iniciativa Spotlight. Desde 2019 hemos logrado beneficiar a 35 millones de mujeres, apoyar propuestas de reforma a 23 leyes a nivel federal y estatal en materia de feminicidio que contribuyen recomendaciones internacionales en materia y la Agenda 2030, fortalecer el marco jurídico federal para la prevención, atención, sanción, reparación y erradicación de las violencias contra las mujeres, niñas y adolescentes, desarrollar modelos de prevención de la violencia dirigidos a hombres y fortalecer las capacidades de personas servidoras públicas responsables de garantizar el acceso a la justicia de las mujeres. De cara al fin de la iniciativa en México, estamos trabajando para concretar el plan de sostenibilidad que permitirá que los avances que hemos logrado con el acompañamiento de Spotlight continúen en la política pública nacional y a nivel local. Esto servirá para replicar estas buenas prácticas en todo el territorio nacional. Junto con la Comisión Nacional para Prevenir y Erradicar la Violencia, el Instituto Nacional de las Mujeres, estamos dándole continuidad a las acciones de prevención y atención y sanción. Y esperamos que la segunda parte sea financiada e implementada en el resto del mundo. Seguimos trabajando. México es un aliado de las causas feministas a nivel internacional y seguimos comprometidas en los derechos de las mujeres y las niñas que no son negociables. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you for those interventions. Thank you, Excellencies and representatives of the member states. And to deliver our final remarks of the evening, please join me in welcoming the Executive Director of UN Women, Sima Bahous, UNFPA Executive Director, Natalie Portman, and UNDP Associate Administrator, Ha-Leong Shu, who will deliver a joint statement on behalf of the 11 UN system entities that make Spotlight Initiative a reality.
Distinguished panelists, we are grateful for your interventions today, for your passion and commitment to ending violence against women and girls, and for mobilizing behind a solution for SDG acceleration. We are all aware of the devastating impact violence against women and girls can have for individuals, families, communities, and societies as a whole. From health and well-being to weakened community cohesion to economic costs. Every day, women and girls around the world make decisions on how to travel, where to go, what to wear, how and when to participate on social media or public life. They make all these decisions based on calculations of their own security. This violence curbs and informs every aspect of life and continues to exist, not because of a lack of proven solutions or ideas, but because of inadequate political will or prioritized resources. One of the unique ways the Spotlight Initiative addressed these issues is through the strong emphasis on collaborating with civil society and the women's movement, which evidence shows is the most effective way to address violence against women. Over $173 million went directly to civil society organizations, and of that, 73% were women-led organizations. In addition to receiving funding, civil society plays an important role, in advisory role, in Spotlight through civil society reference groups, set up at the country, at the regional, and at the global levels. The Spotlight Initiative Excellencies has provided an opportunity to model a new way of working within the UN system, leveraging individual agencies' expertise, partnerships, and capacities for stronger results for women and girls everywhere. I thank you.
In the past 5 years, we have had the opportunity to demonstrate what is possible when the conditions are right: funding, partnerships, political will, and innovation. With an initial investment and a partnership of 500 million euros by the European Union, Spotlight Initiative has supported governments to place the issue of gender-based violence at the center of national development priorities in equal partnership with civil society. The comprehensive model and the whole-of-society approach has delivered incredible results, unleashing domestic resources, localizing solutions, strengthening institutions and laws, driving better outcomes on health, education, and ending poverty, and ultimately saving lives and ensuring we leave no one behind. To give just one example, in Nigeria, the Spotlight Initiative contributed to the establishment of the first ever prosecution hub in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Justice. This measure facilitated the provision of pro bono legal services and prosecuted 98 cases in just 3 days, restoring people's confidence in the system's ability to hold the perpetrators accountable and to bring justice to survivors.
Ni una más. Today, the United Nations system presents this high-impact initiative as a partnership for accelerating progress on the Sustainable Development Goals. We are grateful to the governments that have expressed their support and commitment so far, such as the European Union and Belgium, and to those of you who will be sharing commitments here. This is a universal issue, and it requires a universal solution. And what is clear is that we will not achieve any of our goals without the voice, the choice, the safety and full rights of half our population. Levels of violence against women and girls today are a commanding global emergency. As such, the United Nations Secretary-General has asked every member state to treat this as the emergency it is, to have a national plan to end violence against women and girls with dedicated national resources for implementation. The United Nations system stands ready to support, including through the expansion of Spotlight, a comprehensive model that already has delivered encouraging results. So we leave you with a call to action for the mobilization of resources from all avenues, national budgets, social impact investments, philanthropy, and donors to scale up the Spotlight initiative to a $1 billion fund that can truly drive SDG acceleration and place women and girls at the center of global solutions. Ending violence against women and girls is possible. Zero is possible, and it takes each and every one of us. We thank you.
So thank you to the executive heads of UN agencies, to all our distinguished guests, our speakers who joined us today, and to all of you here in the room and those of you watching online. I hope you learned something from today's event, and I think we all can feel that humanity is at an inflection point. But as with many of our challenges that we face, we know the solutions. We know the solution to ending violence against women. I hope you leave here inspired and commit to turning your awareness into action, and I hope we can all take pride in how we responded to this moment. It's the only way we can achieve the world that we want. And finally, we invite you to join the closing plenary session, which is taking place now in ECOSOC. Thank you, and thank you all.